Sonus faber, we create also emotions. To do this, sometimes we choose particular technologies, particular philosophies, but at the end, the result must be creates like a goosebump on your arms. When you do this, so you win.
So Suprema, I think it's one of the first case where we started from the performance and the design follow it.
Having in the same enclosure 2 big woofers like that was not so good, because also the speaker like this must disappear in your eyes, but not in your ears.
So we took inspiration from 2 famous products in the Sonus faber history. The first one is the Guarneri, because of the lute shape, and we use the lute shape for the main column because it's the best shape to make the speaker disappear from the soundstage. And we use the shape of the Stradivari for the bass enclosure because we know that's the best way to create a very impactful wall of sound. Main column is a 5-way design, plus we have a rear firing speaker, which is a 2-way. In the front column, you can find 4 8-inch woofers, which have a dual drive design motor system, and they are really optimized to provide speed and impact. We didn't optimize them to go lower than 40 Hz because we have the subwoofers. Then we have the Camellia Midrange, which is star of the system because it's completely new, and also it's a unique solution in the market. Because it's a dual drive design, we follow that philosophy because in the listening test we understood that the dual drive design in case of mid-range was adding a lot of resolution and detail. The membrane of this new driver is very particular, as you can see, because it's not rounded anymore. We have these 5 cuts around the edge of the membrane. We just made this technology visible, and to do that we applied an inverted surround which is glued on the back of the membrane. The problem was how to merge such a special driver to the 4 8-inch woofers in the main column. So we decided to have another driver, another 8-inch that stays on the bottom of the Camellia Midrange, driver that we call the link because it's responsible to do the transition between the mid-range and the bass section. We have 2 tweeters. The reason why we have multiple tweeters is because we wanted to achieve 40 kHz. That was possible only using a very small and a light membrane, but also we wanted to achieve a very high SPL. So splitting the work of the tweeter in 2 is clearly increasing their ability to support energy. For membranes, we decided to use paper to follow the Sonus faber tradition. Paper for the cones and silk for the domes. This is a choice that we did from the beginning because we know that for us that those materials are the ones that are really delivering the natural sound.
If you want to move a lot of air, you need big sides, big membrane, or standard size of membrane, but create a long excursion. In this case, we did both.
In case of subwoofers, we are using 2 15-inch driver, and in that case, we didn't find anything on the market able to reproduce low frequency at that level that was meeting our expectation. So we designed the membrane and we realized the membrane in carbon fiber.
This is a completely sealed systems because the sealed boxes is the faster system to reproduce lower frequencies.
So the cabinet construction of Suprema is pretty particular too. We have a blend of wood and carbon fiber, and this is because we wanted to have our classic sound signature, which is coming from the natural resonance of the wood, but we wanted to add stiffness to the entire structure. Of course, we decided to cover the front baffle in leather as our tradition imposed, but with the difference that this time, since Suprema is a very special product, we ask for help from one of the most legendary furniture brand in Italy, Poltrona Frau, to make the front panel in their genuine leather for us. We talked about the shape, we talked about the technology, but there is a lot in the speaker that you cannot actually see. Starting from the enclosure of the mid-range, for example, that's a very unusual choice. It's the first time in the audio industry that someone is doing a speaker enclosure made out of cork. Cork has amazing acoustic properties, and because of these amazing properties, we were able to reduce the damping material inside the enclosure, with the result of having a lot more energy available for the listener. All the con drivers in the main columns are featuring our famous organic basket that was introduced for the first time in the Stradivari. It really reflects our philosophy of form following function. We have 4 different knobs on the back of the speaker. 3 of those knobs are basically adjusting the level of mid-range, tweeters, and the backfiring speaker. The 4th knob is a mechanical one, and it is adjusting the tilting of the head of the speaker. So basically what we call the voice of Sonus faber, mid-range and the 2 tweeter, is adjustable to the listening position. The electronic crossover of Suprema is made using our classic materials. It's a wood enclosure lacquered with 10 hands of lacquering. We ask ourselves, what's the best way to do an electronic crossover? Of course, nowadays you can use DSP, you can use integrated circuit. That makes the life of engineers a lot more simple. But in this case, since we are talking about a non-compromised system, we went all the way down to the classic solution. So discrete components, balanced circuitry, dual mono with separate power supply. Of course, the electronic crossover is responsible on splitting the signal between main column and the subwoofer. Everything else is made by internal crossover of the main column. And those internal crossover are classic passive crossover. They are designed with our phase coherent technology, which is ensuring the perfect alignment between the relative phase of each driver. Interesting to know, for this project in particular, we wanted to be as pure as possible. So we decided to design the crossover completely free from resistors. Resistors can potentially add some level of distortion, so we didn't want to have anything like that. So we went with a solution which was used in the past and then abandoned, which is the autoformer, which are able to keep the integrity of the signal in the spectrum of use. I'm particularly proud of Suprema, not only because it's a beautiful product and it has an amazing performance, but really because it's setting a new era for Sonus faber. And Suprema is the demonstration of how powerful we can be also in discovering and developing new technologies.
I didn't realize what we did with this system until we listened the first time, and it gave me goosebumps on my arms.